Hello everyone, this is Justin Joseph here with ProjectCoe.com's newest video review for Manhunt 2 from Rockstar Games on the Nintendo Wii. Manhunt 2 should really be considered a victim of our own society, and the reason I say that is because just about everyone knows by now about the whole fiasco with the initial adults-only rating from the ESRB and how the BBFC over in the United Kingdom pretty much just banned it outright, even though Rockstar's appeal of that decision actually proved successful recently. But in all seriousness, censorship just absolutely sucks and only proves to hurt the logically thinking consumer in the long run. I mean, really, the only censorship that should be occurring is parents keeping gaming material that is inappropriate for a younger audience to witness out of their hands at all times. But, we're just stupid gamers. What do we know, really? But in all seriousness, Manhunt 2 actually follows the story of a man named Daniel Lamb and his buddy Leo, as Daniel actually wakes up in the middle of the night in an asylum with pretty much a broken memory and the knowledge that he was part of sort of a top secret experiment known as the Project. Now, unfortunately, the plot isn't particularly captivating because, I especially was able to figure out what was really going on after about the fourth mission. But it isn't bad. It's kind of a standard horror. The guy lost his memory, and there's people trying to kill him for whatever reason, and blah blah blah. It's just nothing really special, but it is there and it actually does serve a purpose. But what I actually also want to point out is that Manhunt 2 actually has nothing to do with the original game that released on the PlayStation 2, so there's no James Earl Cash, but Manhunt 2 actually sort of retains the same grisly, disturbing atmosphere, and that there's really just general chaos just about everywhere, and that actually sort of coincides with the music and the voice work, because the music is very disturbing, just very moody, and does a very good job of bringing the horror theme to life, and the voice work again isn't too shabby. The people that actually did the work did a fairly good job in bringing every character's personality to life. So there is something to like here, at least with the audio and the whole atmosphere. It's just everything else about the game that isn't necessarily as good as it could be. So with the actual Wii version, it was meant to be the most unique because the actual executions, which made the first Manhunt famous, are actually carried out by doing gestures with the Wii remote and the nunchuck. And with the actual executions themselves, there's 3 different levels of brutality, because whenever you're sneaking up on someone that you're trying to kill, there's these little 3 triangle prongs that appear around their heads that sort of denote different levels of brutality, with white being the least violent, yellow being fairly violent, and red being probably the most gruesome that you can do. The executions and the actual gestures you do are fun to an extent, but going back to the whole censorship thing, the multicolored filters that sort of envelop the whole execution carrying out, it make your actions practically pointless because you can't really see what's going on during most of the executions. I know some people feel differently, but it kills the whole point of the game just because of the fact that Rockstar had to do that in order to get an M rating for it being retail safe. So yes, they are pretty cool, but seriously, it just kills the atmosphere and kills the whole point of the game, and it really does not make me happy, and I know a lot of people that feel the same way. And that also extends to the graphics. It's pretty easy to determine that Rockstar really just gave the Wii version a slight new paint job over the PS2 and PSP games. It's pretty much the same visual presentation with just a couple of different noticeable upgrades, with there being slightly smoother textures and actual bloodstain on your hands, arms, and clothes, but pretty much everything else is just the same. It's not necessarily repetitive, but, well, the enemies are definitely repetitive, but the environments are actually pretty cool. But in all seriousness, it's just not a great looking game, at least for what the Wii can do. And speaking of the enemies, they aren't too bright. The AI is definitely nothing to write home about. It actually makes the game a bit easier, and even with the somewhat spotty collision detection and the strange IR aiming for your guns, it doesn't feel like it was a well put together game. It's just a little too easy, a little too short, because I was actually able to complete the game in about 2 days time, and anyone that actually just sits down and plays it for about 6 to 8 hours in one sitting can easily blow through it all. It's just unfortunate, but again, it's not a bad game. Manhunt 2, it does have its fun moments. It just feels like it had to be rushed because of all the controversy that was surrounding it, with the executions and being able to gesture with the Wii remote and the nunchuck. But what can we do now? It's just the way it is, and we have to accept it that way. So, with that in mind, Project COE gave Manhunt 2 a 7.2 out of 10, with the pros being the atmospheric, horror-themed audio, the fun execution gestures, and the use of guns, and the cons being the less than impressive graphics, the censorship, the multicolor filters over the executions, and the fact that Manhunt 2 is just an easy, short game. So thank you for your time, and hopefully you enjoyed my review, and like I said, check out the text review on COE.com to find out more information.